Good morning, everyone. This is Spiritual Whistleblower all the way from San Juan, Puerto Rico. I'm going to pan around so you guys can see my morning view and how amazing this is. I'm out on a resort. There's the beach. I got my drink in my hand. Yes. I'm waiting on my girlfriends. They're still in their room sleeping, but I said I would come out here on the beach. This is my little cabana bed. Y'all see that? I'm gonna sit down here and give y'all some videos. Good morning, everybody. This is, let me tell you something. Vacationing and traveling is so therapeutic. I could do this. Well, I actually am doing this year round. I stay on the go. I stay on the plane, honey. Best therapy in the world to get the fuck away from toxic people and just enjoy yourself and be at peace. There's nothing like inner peace, let me tell you. Before I get into this video, I want you all to know, if you want access to all my videos, I counted, I have about 500 videos from 2018 up until now. I have a lot of videos. So if you want unlimited access to my old classic videos over the years, you can go to my Patreon. You got to download the Patreon app, Spiritual Whistleblower. $1 a month, not $1 a day, not $1 a week. It's $1 a month. You will have unlimited access. You can watch my old videos repeatedly and share them. Okay. All right, so let's get into this video. I'm going to drop a couple videos and then I'm going to go party for the rest of the day because I love y'all. I want to talk about how your narcissistic mother and father set you up to fail in life. And this is where people, when you understand what narcissistic abuse is, everything will make sense. Everything in your life will fall into place. You'll be able to heal properly and do what you need to do to level up in life and stay there. If your mother or father is a narcissist, one or the other or both, in my case, both of my parents are narcissists. Well, you got to understand what a narcissist is. Narcissists are basically, they're toddlers trapped in adult bodies. And when I say a toddler trapped in an adult body, what it means is that they are emotionally stunted. Somewhere in their childhood, their early childhood, their family, whoever raised them, was also a narcissist. And their parents, and I'm talking about your grandparents and your great-grandparents, because this is dysfunction and generational curses that have been passed down. Trauma transferring. Okay, one generation transferring trauma to the next generation. And that's what happened. Whoever raised your mother and father, they are also narcissistic, okay? Or they're a toxic codependent. When a narcissist narcissism is taught. It's, this is what doctors are saying, it's taught, but I'm really starting to believe it's hereditary. In my case, I'll talk about both my parents and how they both became narcissists. My mother's case, my grandmother, may she rest in peace. My grandmother, who I feel and I know for fact was a covert narcissist, because female narcissists have multiple baby fathers, and what they do, they trap men with pregnancy. Okay, my grandmother, may she rest in peace, was promiscuous. That's the bottom line. I don't care who gets mad. If we're going to deal with healing our family trauma and dysfunction, we got to deal with the truth and reality. And that's what's wrong with the Black community. We don't want to deal with the truth. We just want to sweep shit underneath the rug and keep passing the shit down generation to generation. But I'm not here for that shit. I am determined to destroy the generational curse in my bloodline. My grandmother, may she rest in peace, on my mother's side, my maternal grandmother was a covert narcissist. She had multiple baby daddies. And I love her to death, but I now realize that my grandmother was emotionally void. Narcissists are emotionally void. And that is how my grandmother was able to have one baby, abandon that baby, move forward, get pregnant by another man, abandon that baby, move forward. So my mother, she gave birth to my mother. My mother was a twin. My grandmother gave birth to twins, passed my mother off to her grandmother, my great-grandmother, who raised her. And my grandmother abandoned her and moved on, got married, and started another family, created more children, and abandoned my mother. This is what narcissists do, because they are not emotionally connected to their children. There's no way I could give birth to a child and abandon my child. I don't care how poor or how rough things get for me. And I have been poor. I have been homeless. My baby stayed on my hip. Me and my baby have been in homeless shelters. There's no way I'm abandoning my child. No way. So my grandmother abandoned my mother, and my great-grandmother raised my mother. And just like, like nothing, my grandmother moved on, got married, and started another family. So because my grandmother was emotionally, my grandmother was emotionally disconnected from my mother, even though she gave birth to her. My mother bonded with her grandmother who raised her. And my great-grandmother, who I feel possibly could have been a narcissist as well, I don't know, because she died when I was a little girl and I did not have time to analyze her personality, spoiled my mother. And this spoiling a child creates a monster. When you spoil a child, give the child too much, you do not teach the child healthy boundaries. When you spoil a child, you are actually teaching a child to be self-entitled and very self-centered, and that the world evolves around him and her, and if they don't get what they want, they're going to throw a hissy fit. So because my grandmother abandoned my mother, my mother's grandmother compensated the void by spoiling my mother, thus creating a narcissist. My mother grew up repeating that dysfunction. She became self-centered, self-entitled, and narcissistic. So now my mother gives birth to me and my siblings, and instead of her being a better mother than what her mother showed her, being a loving, nurturing caretaker, she transferred her trauma and pain, and she took it out on her children. So, yes, she may have been a provider, financially kept a roof over our head, even though we lived in motels. But she was never, ever emotionally, she was gone. She was never a nurturer. She was never loving. She was never supportive. My mother is all about financial. I gave you a roof over your head. I did the best I could. That's what they say. You know your mother and father's a narcissist when they say, I did the best I could. No, you did not do the best you could. Because I would have taken love and nurturing over the financial stuff any day. And I don't have that type of relationship with my child. Me and my daughter have a loving. Every day I wake up, I tell my daughter I love her. I tell my daughter she's beautiful. I support her endeavors, whatever her goals are. I was kicked out of the house as a teenager. I had to learn to survive as a teenager. I will never kick my daughter out the house, just to be vindictive. I'm going to help my daughter, get on her feet and transition so she can survive and not mess her credit up and different things that my mother didn't teach me. I had to learn in college. My girlfriends had to teach me even about my hygiene. So when you have a narcissistic parent, they do not teach you survival skills. They want you to be codependent. They never want you to leave home. They want to maintain that control over you. So my mother transferred her pain and trauma onto her children, thus repeating the cycle of dysfunction. She was never loving. She was never nurturing. Matter of fact, she did a lot of cruel things to triangulate her children against each other. I'll give you an example. One Christmas, because she's trained my sister to be the golden child. My sister is also a narcissist. My sister is a duplicate of my mother. And my mother specifically trained my sister to be a complete copy, carbon copy of my mother. Same personality, same habits, same gold digger lifestyle. My sister is an exact replica of my mother. My sister is a narcissist. Me and my brother were the scapegoat children. We were beat, molested, abused, bloody, brutally beaten, everything. We had a very violent trauma-based childhood, and my mother will not acknowledge that. Now my father, his mother beat the bloody crap out of him as well. And his brothers had anxiety issues. My other uncle, he wet the bed. There was a lot of violence because my grandmother and grandfather on my father's side were violent. And they were violent in front of their children. And there was no emotion, hey, they might have been raised in a home where food and everything was provided, but the nurturing was not there. So my father passed down his trauma onto his children because he was not financially responsible. He abandoned his financial responsibilities when he divorced my mother. He took his pain out on his children because, in order to hurt my mother. So your parents will not give you the survival skills. When they are narcissistic, they will not teach you how to be independent on your own because they really want to maintain control over you well into your adulthood. And when you break free from your parents, they're going to hate you because you are taking away their control. When you're the scapegoat child, and you're a young child, your parents, there's a term for this. It's called purification. Purification is when a narcissistic mother or father dumps all the responsibility on their young child to be the parent. It's like you're the third parent in the family. You have to take care of your siblings. You miss your childhood because you're too busy playing adult caretaker. This is where we learn to have no boundaries, y'all. This is where we learn in our childhood that we are to put everyone's needs before ours. This is where we learn to be doormats and people pleasers because mommy and daddy has trained us to take care of everyone else except ourselves. So of course, when you grow up, you're going to attract abusers and users. How would you know any better when you have been programmed to be a fucking doormat by your mother and father? Of course, you're going to attract toxic, abusive men and women in your life, and they're going to walk all over you. Because the behavior has been normalized in your childhood. Your parents have normalized you being a doormat. You are to take care of your siblings and you are to do this and your parents are greedy. If you get a job, I worked 2 jobs in high school. My mother took all my paychecks. I never could spend my money in the mall and go shopping with my friends. When I worked in high school, my mother took my paychecks from me. Financially controlling, financially abusive. So this is how a narcissistic mother and father, they set you up to fail in life. They set you up to be in toxic relationships. They know that you're going to get in a relationship with an abuser. And when that abuser destroys you, your parents know you're going to have to run back home to them. And they get to regain that control in your adulthood. You got to break free from a toxic, narcissistic mother and father. And I mean, relocate, move far away, distance yourself. And become a better parent. Train your children. Love your children. Be emotionally available to your children. Do not repeat what your parents have shown you and demonstrated to you. It is toxic and it is not normal. Break that generational curse. Y'all have a blessed day.